So let's get into some of the Tony Robbins stuff. The real Tony Robbins stuff. Well, you've been a huge influence. You've been an influence on me, but you've been an influence on many. I've told you privately, many of my family members, and helping my brother-in-law get through back pain and a whole bunch of stuff. But what do you think most people are sort of stuck on first? Like, what do you find generally when people come to your shows or when they reach out to you or say hi to you at the mall? What is like the first thing that most people seem to be hung up on before they can start moving forward in life?
I think most people have had dreams and goals in their life, and they've had, obviously, as all of us have, plenty of disappointments because, you want to make God laugh, tell her your plans.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
But if the person that persists and keeps going can eventually break through. Like all the studies show that pessimists are much more accurate about their performance than optimists, much more accurate. But optimists are much more successful because they overvalue. They think they did better than they did, so they're willing to try it again.
Right.
They believe it'll happen. And that persistence is what makes things work. So I think the thing that stops people, whether it's in their relationship or whether it's their business or their career or their body, is the disappointments of the past. And so what really shows up is fear. The fear of failure, the fear of success, the fear of rejection, the fear of the unknown. There's so many fears, but they all come down to two fears that everybody has. We're all afraid we're not enough in some context. Not rich enough, smart enough, young enough, old enough, wise enough, funny enough, whatever it is, attractive enough. Especially if we have that fear that we're not enough for someone we really want that love from. And the deepest fear is that if I'm not enough, I won't be loved. And love is the oxygen of life. I know it sounds corny, but if a baby is born and you don't give them physical love, they get what's called failure to thrive syndrome. They actually physically die. Yeah. Love is our evolutionary advantage. It's what makes us survive. And so I look at most people, and most people have so much fear still because of so many disappointments that they're afraid to get their hopes up. Of course, if you don't get your hopes up, if you don't commit to something, if you don't give your all every time because you're afraid of failing, you're not going to follow through. So I think it's fear that stops people in any area, but also what happens is you start to form a limiting identity. And this is the thing I hope that your listeners or viewers will really consider. I believe the strongest force in anybody's personality, in the human personality, is the need to stay consistent with how you've defined yourself. We all have an identity for ourselves. So you'll hear people say something like, is there a difference between somebody who feels depressed and somebody who is clinically depressed? Well, yes, once you have the title clinically depressed, you can go to one of those people, and do you think clinically depressed people have happy moments? You think they do?
I'm going to guess not really. They
have happy moments, but if you catch them when they're going, I'm not really happy, it just looks like I'm happy.
Yeah.
Because our need to meet that definition, if you don't know who you are, you can't make a decision. It's like when people talk about somebody turning in their 40s and, having this, midlife crisis. What there really is, it's an identity crisis. Is this really who I want to be? Is this really who I am? So if I said to you, do you ever smoke cigarettes?
Never. I've smoked maybe cumulative one cigarette in my entire life. Every puff that I ever took, yeah.
I was fortunate enough to have a similar pattern as you. But I'll talk to some people that smoke cigarettes and they'll say, no, I smoked for 10 years and I stopped and I'll never smoke again. If I come to them and say, would you like a cigarette? They don't go, what brand is it?
Right.
What do they say? They go, I'm not a smoker. I'm not one of those. Mm-hmm. The way we define ourselves, what we are and what we're not, controls every thought, feeling, emotion, and behavior of our life. So it works at all levels. If I set a thermostat in this room at 68 degrees, and that represents your comfort zone, your identity. Your comfort zone is not what you want, it's what you're used to, right? So it could be 68 degrees is what you're used to in terms of intimacy, or 68 degrees is how much financial well-being or freedom you're used to, or security you're used to. It might not be a lot, it might be a little. It's not your goal, it's what you're used to. Well, once that's your comfort zone, once that's your identity, if the temperature in this room drops from 68 to 65 to 62 to 60 at some point, the heaters kick on because the computer says, whoa, you're a 68 degreeers, you're not a 60 degreeer, this is no good, and you feel pressure. The heaters kick on and drive you back up to where you're supposed to be. And most people listening probably have had times where it got so bad you finally said, not another day, another moment, I'm changing this now, this relationship, this thing on my body, whatever. But what most people don't realize is it happens on the other side as well. If you're a 68 degreeer and you start doing better than you expect, you get momentum, you start to crush it, you start to go 80 degrees, 90, 98 degrees, suddenly the computer inside goes, what the hell are you doing? You're not a 98 degreeer, you're a 68 degreeer.
Right.
And then the first thing happens, the heaters stop, you lose your drive. And then if that's not enough, the air conditioners kick on to help you sabotage to get right back down to where you think you deserve to be.
So is it a constant battle, do you think, between those two things, not running too cool and not burning too hot, that even for someone like you that's sort of a master at this, you have to play within that to some
Well, you
extent?
have to keep expanding your identity.
Yeah.
Otherwise you get stuck. When people say they're stuck, it's because they're only using a part of their capacity or part of their brain. So what I like to look at is, how do you expand your identity? You do things that violate your old identity. That's why I do a firewalk, or we took people skydiving.
Yeah.
It's like, if I get myself to do that thing I once thought was difficult or impossible, my brain goes, then what else can I really do that seemed to be difficult or impossible? For me, I remember when I was 16 years old, just about turned 17, and I had 4 different fathers, and my mom was a volatile person, great human being, but when she mixed prescription drugs with alcohol, it was pretty painful and disastrous. So I remember she kicked out another one of my fathers, and then she decided one night, that Christmas Eve, that I was on my father's side, and so she kicked me out. My dad went back to Chicago on his own. He didn't know I got kicked out. And she kept my 1960 Volkswagen out at $40 a week, but I was working as a janitor, so I took buses to a place in Pasadena, California, San Marino, and I would work on these 2 banks in the middle of the night, still in high school, because I wasn't paid by the hours, paid by results. I could do 2 banks, I get paid well, come back home, get up on 3 or 4 hours sleep, and go to school. Well, I would take buses. Well, one night I finished at 2 in the morning, and I go out and I'm waiting for the bus on this main avenue, and it's 2 in the morning, there's no cars, and I'm waiting and 2:15 and 2:30. And right around 2:30, somewhere in that range, a car drives by, rolls down his window, goes, "Hey buddy, didn't you know there's a bus strike?" And I'm like, "A bus strike?"
You've been working hard.
I'm working my guts. I don't have anybody I can call. I don't have anybody who can pick me up. Everything got stuff, and I'm about 16, 17 miles from home. So I ran. True story, Dave.
Wow.
I ran. But the way I ran was, I didn't know what I was doing at the time. I'd read a book called The Magic of Believing by Claude M. Bristol, this old book. And it talked about how to condition your mind. And it talked about incantations, not affirmations. You go, "I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy," and your brain goes, "BS, I'm not happy." But where you use your body, your voice, everything, until your whole nervous system believes it and experiences it. So I started doing these really simple ones. First I was angry. I'm gonna show her. It was all about anger with my mom, but you only can run on anger so long.
Right.
You run out of fuel.
How many miles does that take?
That probably lasts a mile.
Yeah.
And then I started going, every day and every way I'm getting stronger and stronger. Every day and every way and I would do these incantations out loud while I was running. I ran 16 miles. I'd never run 3 miles in my life. I was beat up, as you might imagine, completely. I had shin splints and everything else. But I found a part of myself that I still use to this day. I found this identity that will not stop, that will find the way, that will push through. And we all have it, but it usually takes something really intense to bring it out. That's why, people don't want problems. I always tell people the biggest problem people have is that they think they're not supposed to have any. Mm-hmm. But problems call forth in us if we don't give up. They cause us to grow. In the end, you've accomplished enormous things in your life. You and I both, many people have, we both have. But it's like, what you get will never make you happy. Yeah. Who you become will make you very happy or very sad, and that's an identity. And if you can find an identity, and then, by the way, that's what everybody sells in a product. Nike sells, you're an action person, just do it. Those shoes have nothing to do with it. They're just selling you on a feeling and linking it to their product. But when you really do that to yourself, when you really expand your identity, your life changes completely. And what used to be hard to do is easy.
How often do you fall out of that flow?
Do I have days where I'm frustrated or pissed off or overwhelmed? Of course, but I don't stay there. I mean, I would stay there for a month before, or weeks before, or hours before. Now, like I have a 180 second rule. It's like I got 3 minutes to get my shit together and change that thing. And I've done it so often, it's like a muscle. It's not like I'm so great. It's just you use the muscle over and again. It gets strong. Once it's strong, you tend to use it. So. It's not very often. It takes, if something really knocks me off my game, I go, a worthy opponent. I finally got a worthy opponent. It's been a long time since something's knocked me off my game. But
is that usually a personal thing for you, or is it a professional thing for you? Like what sort of hits you harder?
Well, I think for everybody, personal is probably more than professional when it happens, but I'm pretty blessed in that area at this stage. I mean, if I went back 10, 15, 20 years, it'd be different, but my wife and I have been together 25 years. I mean, I love her more than I could ever describe in words. I love her more today than I first met her. And my kids, my family. I mean, that's my dear friends. I have what I call chosen family, people that are my dear, dear friends. And we have some mutual people that we really care about together. So to me, life is about relationships. If the quality of relationships is extraordinary, your relationship with whatever you believe, the universe, your creator, your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your loved ones, your relationship with those that you want to serve, if those are strong, it's pretty hard not to have a great quality of life.